I'm sorry?
I said, you look at Jamal and think it's about time he did this? What he's capable of, so to speak?
Give Nebraska a tremendous amount of credit for all the criticism that they've been under for the last 3 weeks to come in here and play as hard as they did and play as well as they did. I thought they did a great job coaching. They came in without, by releasing the pressure off their players. They were blitzing every play. I don't think I've ever seen anybody blitz that much. It's just absolutely unbelievable. And running the ball, trying to keep the ball away from us offensively, frustrated us a little bit in the first half, and then came back and we were able to get settled down and make a few adjustments and play really well in the second half. Really proud of the coaches that they didn't get frustrated. We changed some things, and Nebraska comes out and hits 2 big passes and goes right down the field to score immediately and takes away the momentum we felt like we would have coming out of the half and goes up 17-3. We've got the ball in the third quarter when we're down with the win, when we're down 17-3, and then come back all of a sudden and have to work into the win the fourth quarter. And that's when Jamal did a great job of running behind his pads and going north and south. And probably part of that was we stayed with the running game when it looked bad today and when it looked like we shouldn't. And I give Greg Davis and the offensive staff credit for keeping their patience down 17-3. And unlike Kansas State, we were able to pull it back out primarily because of the running game. Thought Colt had a courageous performance along with Jamal. Colt made some plays with his feet. We protected the ball better than we did the last time we were here and overcame what could have been a trap game. Like I said, you tell a good group of players and coaches they're bad for 3 straight weeks, and they're going to come and show you. And that's what they tried to do today, and I thought they played with so much effort. They played with so much heart, and it was disappointing that anybody had to win. And it ended up being a typical Texas-Nebraska game. I mean, most of the games we've had with them have come down to the last minute. It's just a great series between 2 really good teams in historical programs. That answer you, Suzanne?
Sort of. Can you talk more about Jamal, just his effort in the fourth quarter? I think he
did great. Yeah, I think we'll see that the offensive line really did a good job blocking. We continued to pound up inside. It kind of broke loose when John Childs came in and they left a hole up inside and gave us some confidence. And the other thing is Jamal really protected the ball and had it, 29 carries or at least, maybe more than that, but I remember 29. Do you have 30? 30 carries and did a great job. And even the one that put the game away where he started to the right and they had penetration, he got tackled basically and bounced away, protected the ball and came back down and made the first down, which was a yard short, which ended up being the one that made it where we would not have to punt again.
Mack, the zone read changed the game. You guys went to it and you just went down their throat. Was there anything that they did that you saw you needed to use that? Or
no, we were planning on using it coming into the game. We did not expect them to blitz every play. And to their credit, we did think that they had enough trouble against the run that they would change something. And we thought we'd have to make some adjustments during the game. We didn't think it would be every play. I mean, it was just unbelievable. I've never seen anybody change that drastically from one week to the next. And thank goodness I thought Greg called a really good series when we got the ball down for a field goal where he started running the ball more and we pitched the ball out on the option from the eye once and made about 15 yards with Jamal and kind of got it going a little bit and took away some of their blitz. We were not being able to break away from their man-to-man coverage in the first half, and they were just locking up man-to-man, or they were showing blitz and backing out late and playing too deep and trying to confuse Colt and putting people in different gaps. So we had a really tough time, and it's really hard to do what the staff and the kids did today, and that's overcome the adversity that they had in this game, and that's a credit to Nebraska.
Why is the zone read so effective against a blitz like theirs?
Well, because you have to have man-to-man assignments, and when you're in blitz, it is really, really difficult for people to go full speed and still settle down, and somebody has to have dive, somebody has to take quarterback, and on the zone read, if that guy gets a little bit too far upfield like he did, Colt can step inside and make 15 or 20 yards. If you're in man coverage like they were, you're leaving the middle of the field open, and you're blitzing from outside, so it's hard to break the line of scrimmage against the blitz. But when you do, that's when you have big plays, and that's what happened today. We kept telling our guys at halftime it's there, and we're a step from here and we're a step from there, and I know you're really frustrated with the 3 points, but hang in there. We'll make some long runs if we just keep hanging in there with it.
Coach, for Colt to keep the ball after being knocked out of the game and make 20 yards or whatever that was, does that tell you something? And is this team maybe feeding off that a little bit?
Well, his leadership has really been something that has changed the attitude of this team since Kansas State, and they do feed off of that. And I thought Jamal today stepped up with that same attitude. Both of them stepped up with an attitude about toughness, and the passing game was not there. We were not in sync today. We didn't hit as many plays as we'd like to. We hit some big plays, but we weren't as consistent with it as we normally are. And thank goodness we were able to, for the first time in a long time, rush for 300, 200 yards, whatever it was a bunch of yards.
About Jamal, it sounded like he wanted to show a lot after the words this week about the too many short gains or no gains, and then this.
Yeah, I think Jamal's wanted to show something every week. Everything happened good this week. We go back and look at his first half last week. He played a great first half, and then we felt like he got a little impatient and tried too hard in the second half against Baylor. We had 135 yards rushing the first half last week, and we didn't finish it. And this week we did a lot better by hanging in there and running the ball, because most of your running yards, as we've said around here for 10 years, is in the fourth quarter, and that happened today.
Coach, can you just talk, Jamal mentioned that Coach Rucker came up to him at the end and cried. Can you just talk about the way Coach Rucker's helped Jamal handle the criticism he's had in the past couple of weeks and how he's helped him the past couple of weeks?
You know, I didn't even know he had that much criticism, so I really didn't. He's worked really hard in practice. He's had his head up, and Coach Rucker's probably crying because we won. At halftime he was crying too, but it wasn't because we were winning. We were all crying. But Coach Rucker's a great man, a great coach, and he's overcome cancer and back coaching already this year. But I think Jamal's doing fine. He's got 1,000-yard rushing. Our standard around here is pretty high.
Coach, talk a little about Kendall's play today. Kendall was in a lot of tackles and he back there and made big plays.
Yes, he made some great plays. He's such a force on kickoff coverage. He blew one up over there on their boundary, and my gosh, he covered the guy in the flat on the 4th and 1 perfectly, and the ball went right by his hands, and they complete it. Where that's a batted down ball or an interception, but he is really a good player, and I think he'll be fine.
How are you holding up? Did Cole take you out on that sideline?
Oh, I got knocked down twice today, and that's the first time all year. And even the number 40 from Nebraska looked at me and said, "Oh my gosh, Coach, are you okay?" And I thought, boy, my bad knee's been widespread. So he was careful. He picked me up. Those Nebraska kids are great kids.
Earn your 100th victory.
Yeah, I thought the players made sure it was one that I'd remember for a long time. The thing I told them in the dressing room is 100 is nice. 7 was nicer today, but 100 over time is nice. And when you talk about team all the time, you have to say thank you to all those players for 10 years that aren't here today that helped us get that, because it's been 9+ every year. So a lot of people have put a lot of hard work into this, and the coaches and staff that have been here over 10 years, and administration and kids on this football team had a tremendous amount of pressure, because we didn't need to be talking about 100 wins and how bad Nebraska was all week for this game, because I knew the game was going to come down like it did. It was a script again where it had it written all over it, and it didn't surprise me, and I'm happy. I just told them that they sure made it where I'd remember it the rest of my life.
Talk about Frank's play, the fourth fumble. You have any flashbacks to last year with Aaron Ross's fourth fumble to win the game there?
Well, I know. Our guys really play well against Nebraska, and they just believe today. And Frank and Derek Loki have played so well. And, of course, it's a kind of a scary game for Derek since he broke his leg in this game last year. And I'm sure Nebraska remembers the fumble right at the end last year. It's really crazy how this game's come down to the end so many times, and we've been fortunate to come up on the good end. But Frank's healthy. He's playing really well. He's shown really good leadership out there, and we're playing a lot of people. You know, that's so I think that helped us late in the game as well.
You said you were going to run. That Jamal needed to have?
It's a game that I needed Jamal to have. So, Jamal did great. Give him credit. Say what a great game. Gained 1,000 yards. My gosh, let's don't act like he's been struggling. He's had we took him out at Rice. He'd had 100 yards. We didn't run the ball at Oklahoma. Nobody's had 100 yards. At Iowa State, we took him out early because we beat them to death. I mean, if we had treated Jamal like Ricky, he'd have had 100+ every week except Oklahoma, and that 1,000 would have been 4 weeks ago. So some of this stuff. Last week, I thought he tried too hard in the second half. But I think what we can say is Jamal's had a great year and done a great job, and what a great back. Instead of talking about all the negatives that he's done, what a great performance today. I think Roger Wallace said it's the most yards Nebraska's ever given up to one back. So y'all have to check that and see. I don't know if that's factual, but if it is, that's a pretty good stat.
What was the difference?
I know you guys said at the half you were going to run, but when they came out and went up 17-3 and 6 and 17-9, how proud were you of Greg Davis to not throw the ball and throw the ball?
Well, I think I was proud because I think I was yelling at him when we had 3 and out running it. I said, you know, we're going to have to look at something here because we're about to lose the wind and we're going to be going into the wind. I think he was stubborn today and kept running it, which was really, really good. I thought his decision, along with Mack McWhorter, to continue to run the ball was a difference in the ball game offensively, and I credit them completely. I'm not sure I would have.
But they could, since they had the tendency to throw, are you surprised that
I don't know.
he could stick with it?
You know, I'm not surprised at all. You didn't win 100 games with Greg Davis without him getting some credit too now.
What about Loki at fullback? You had him in
Yeah, we felt like when Luke Tiemann had been out for 2 weeks and we lost Antoine that we just needed to expand his short yards and goal line out to the field. And we feel like that's something else we can continue to do. And he's such a smart young man. He can do goal line, he can do the field stuff, and he can still play defensive end and defensive tackle. But what a team leader he is, and what a great young guy.
We have players waiting, so if y'all want to wrap it up pretty quickly, Coach.
Coach, talk about the defense. They're open. A lot of plays open in the middle of the field today.
Yeah, we had a couple of busts down the middle, and they exploited them. Well, hopefully we'll correct it. They were busts. They weren't bad coverages. They were busts. So we were really disappointed in both, and we'll get it fixed.
Justin had 3 punts inside the 7. Can you talk about what that meant for your field position, and especially into that the wind?
Yeah, the wind was a huge factor today. The obvious 2 quarters it was in, it's probably 15-plus miles an hour, and we were really concerned about it, and we felt like that field position was huge. Going into the game, they had an advantage with their punting game as compared to ours in the kicking game, and the rest of it was not an advantage in the kicking game. So we were really concerned about that, but we were pleased that he did so well.
John comes in and just holds it out, gets the wind knocked out. You guys run the zone read with him because that's one of his plays. Did that kind of spark the zone read?
Well, I thought it did, but we were going to run it at halftime. We said we were definitely going to run it to come out the second half, and we were trying to get some field position. In fact, we were going to call it, Chip, on the -2. And then we said, let's don't run it from there the first time. Let's try to get a couple of first downs and get off the goal line so we can run it. And then when John came in, it was obviously the play that he's most comfortable with. And then when we got the big play, they did not think Colt would run it because he'd just come out. No, I think he just got a shot to the ribs. He's fine. But when he went back in, they didn't anticipate he'd carry the ball, and he was fine, so he did. And he's been working on zone read really hard this week because we feel like it's something we need to do for the next 3 weeks. And he's run the ball so well now out of the shotgun when he scrambles, we feel like he can do the same thing on the option.
Coach, with all the criticism that Nebraska coaching staff has had all year, do you think the blitzing, especially on the defense side of the ball, all the blitzing, was it part of desperation, do you think, just kind of throwing it all out there?
I can't speak for them. I thought it was a great coaching move and gave them a chance to win a game.
Okay. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.